As long as I'm allowed to breathe, I will create. And I committed to that responsibility because it's not just saying, hey, I would like to be able to do this. No, I wake up every day and I regimentedly create. Now, that doesn't mean it looks like painting every day. That doesn't mean, I record every day, but I do something to progress my career daily. When it comes down to documenting, I ask myself, how do I stay in flow? I still found it challenging to balance with the art, but I ask myself the important questions. Can I throw the tripod up and record what I'm about to do because I'm certain of what I'm about to do? Or do I feel like I need to leave this off camera and do some of my better work alone?
Yeah.
You can't record everything. You can't package your life into this box. I am always evolving. We're multifaceted artists. You start in one medium and that teaches you skills that allows you to create and free flow and be innovative. Honestly, it's how I ended up coming up with my name, MetamorphVic.
Today, I will be sitting down with Vic, aka MetamorphVic. He's a multifaceted artist whose work spans from photography, murals, collages, and videography. And he just wrapped up his first solo studio show. I had such an amazing time having this conversation with Vic. He completely shifted my perspective on how we as artists can face challenges with intentionality and purpose. Did you know that when you write down a quote or a moment that resonates with you, you're more likely to act on it? Not just remember it, but actually let it shape how you move. Come here. Here's your challenge. Drop down your favorite takeaway from this interview in the comments. Then after that, go one step further, write it down, and put it on your wall. You can either save it to your notes on your phone or tape it to your mirror, somewhere that you'll be able to see. As always, we'll be dropping gems. That's a promise. So get yourself comfy and let's get into it. So you recently just did the Mural Fest, as well as Art in the Park, and now you're here in Phoenix Art District.
Yes.
So you got your own studio. So how does it feel to be in a new space? Like, what is that like?
As far as being in the new studio, it is interesting. I feel blessed to be here because I would just say that the studio came with energy that I didn't anticipate. So initially working at home, it was very consolidated. It was very, I had solitude at home, but actually being inside of a studio, it's more of a community environment.
Yeah.
So there were just some things that I wasn't anticipating. I was excited for this part of my artist journey as far as what it brought to me, because I'm like, oh yes, I'm leveling up. It feels really good. But at the same time, it came with, studying other people's work, because when you spend so much time in here, there's only so many things to do. So it's I found myself studying other people. I found people coming into my space while I was creating and having to learn how to manage those different types of emotions while you're still doing the thing that you're comfortable with. Right. So being in the studio has been interesting in more ways than one, but it's definitely an elevation to my career.
So with that, you're saying you're surrounded by a lot of creatives. So has that rubbed off on your process or just how you view your own work at all?
Yeah, 1,000%. Every time that I come into this place, it feels like I'm always learning something from somebody. And it's not always about a direct conversation through art. I realize even just people coming in and giving you energy while you're creating can be beneficial. Sometimes it's just positivity. Hey, bro, nice to see you. Yeah. Things like that, right? So since being in here, I have felt an elevation in myself through experimentation, because I see, now you're studying people and you have access to them. So I'm like, hey, Jared, for example, great friend of mine. And I love being able to throw ideas at him or look at his art for inspiration, and then being able to ask the source, what is your creative process? And him giving me the answer because we feel comfortable, So that has been able to transform my work. I'll go back to my room right after a conversation and be like, okay, we were talking about the color blue.
Yeah.
Let's see what that'll do. And it's it's taken me
So
all
it's
the
like
way.
an exchange, like you giving them something, they giving you something, or you're just feeding off of each other.
It is a feeling that you can't describe until you're really in it, or like you wouldn't understand until you're in it. Like being able to see someone's live time process, especially while they're painting. Imagine walking into the room, they're painting, they're using this blue, they're in free flow form, and you're like, hey, or you're just kind of looking, they turn around, they see you, what's up with the blue?
Yeah.
And it's casual conversation, but it's conversation about things that are all the way up here. You're vibrating so high when you create. So to be able to see people doing that and then turn around and be able to walk 20 steps away and go into your comfort space and just start doing it yourself is just, it's crazy.
I can also imagine, with you being here, you're talking about how you had different opportunities and how you have more access to that.
Mm-hmm.
How has that changed or shifted, like just the things that you can do, the possibilities, what you can do?
The Mural Fest, most people sign up and they're able to get their slot. They do their thing. It's fantastic. For me, this year, I was given the opportunity to paint the building that hasn't been painted yet because my studio wall was right in conjunction with it. So they asked me to paint the wall here because, I'm already in there, so that opportunity wouldn't have came had I not been in the studio. Another example would be I was finishing that same mural, closing the ladder, putting the paint away. The CEO from a garbage truck company came walking through because he was just looking at the murals. I was the only muralist outside because I have an office here, so I'm able to continuously show up.
Yeah.
And when he came in, he was looking for someone to paint his truck. Now I have a series where I'm going to go paint an entire garbage truck, which would have never came had I not been comfortable being here all the time.
Yeah.
So like just in the month's time that I've been here, the opportunities, the commissions have jumped because I'm just around the space where people already are looking for art or something of that nature.
Sometimes those that are from the outside point of view or that are not like in the environment, they can view it. And when I'm saying they, I'm talking about me because I used to do that. But like I view either going to the events or like trying to learn more about how I can be a part of this opportunity as scary because you don't know much about it. Like you're trying to figure out how did this person do that? How did they do that? Like, but I feel like since you're in the environment and if you put yourself in that environment, if you're in a studio or not, putting yourself in the environment will give you the opportunities. Do you agree?
I think what makes it easier for me is like my values. So like how I use my discernment off the rip really helps me separate like jobs and opportunities that aren't for me. If you're sure of yourself, then when those opportunities come, you already know how to kind of talk to yourself and say, hey, yeah, I've turned down jobs that seemed like grand opportunities and gave them to someone else because I realized it just didn't align with where I was at. Right. So I feel it made it a lot easier to say yes or no to some jobs when I really knew my self-confidence. Like when the man asked me, hey, can you paint an entire garbage truck? Front side, back side, left side, all of it. When I look up the measurements, that's 14 feet up, 28 feet wide. Yeah. I was like, well, yeah, I can accomplish that. And the confidence really comes from, your practice, how what values you instill. And so it's made it easy.
I mean, you've done that because that's a mural for you. So that's something definitely that you've already honed in. So yeah. I'm surprised, a garbage truck company? So how, like, what does he do with the garbage trucks? Like, is it a regular garbage truck company? Because I've never heard them to, like, paint it.
Yeah, so I'll give you a little bit of story. And so the garbage truck is used, a full operating company. He has 3 to 4 trucks that he has currently in his line. What I didn't know about garbage trucks is they work pretty much on a leasing basis. So they reach out to different companies who have a lot of trash and things of that nature. So let's just say the corner store. Hey, we noticed that you guys have a dumpster. Does anyone pick that up? Well, someone has to sign a lease, you know, to actually get people to go get that. He's been trying to do this artist project for over 7 years. And it's actually kind of difficult because they only have so many trucks. The trucks are quite expensive. So if one truck breaks or something like that, you already have like these contracts with people. So their job continues. So he's in a position where he was like, hey, I have this spare truck. I'd like to compare it in history to a moment. Back in the 80s, 70s, prior to New York was going through its graffiti phase and they were creating graffiti. Well, the reason that graffiti became as known as it is because they were putting it on trains. So people in New York were going out and they were doing this thing called going all city. And they would go and spray paint their name on a train, and it was the only way that it could go around the entire city. Well, I feel like this is kind of like a modern day take where he has this marketing ploy. It's beneficial for him because he's going to have the only painted truck in the entire city at this moment. And I'm able to be an artist who can come in and paint this moving billboard.
I love that they're giving that a go. Because that's something I've never heard of. I would have never heard of that, but I can definitely see that happening. I didn't know that about the train stations. So they just put their names on there.
If you look up some like original graffiti artists like Lady Pink, Cornbread, it's become a lot more popular in the last like 10 to 15 years as far as like the history of it and the knowledge. But graffiti originated in New York. As far as like the concept between, you know, writing your name, creating this, you know, this character. And back in the day, they did it, you know, and don't quote me specific people, but, you know, back in the day, they would incorporate numbers and letters into their thing because it was very rudimentary. It was their way of, you know, putting their name out there, rebelling. But yes, the train system was the way that people back in the 80s and 70s would actually just, you know, if I tagged here in this local neighborhood, in this district, only the people who drove around would necessarily see that. The trains went everywhere. So that's when they started to paint them.
That's fine. That's so cool. I posted a video, like a reel of me doing the mural from Mural Fest. And they were talking about graffiti is illegal. And I was like, for one, this is not graffiti. Is it? That's not graffiti, because graffiti is more like what you said, the tags and your names and lettering. But for two, I was like, if it was graffiti, like, why is it a problem?
So there's the stigma, like with, you know, numerous things, but specifically with graffiti, how it started is there's a very gray area when it comes to the conversation. So saying, was your art piece or my art piece, is that graffiti? Is it this? How is it labeled? And I think what happened is like it originated with one thing, and as the idea has evolved, it has, you know, people have put new categories for it. So like technically what we were doing was more in the street art muralist category, which is more like you're using the method of spray cans to paint this picture that you've illustrated. That's not really graffiti. Graffiti is tied closer to vandalism and, you know, making a mark as a rebel type of, is at least the perspective that I've understood. So when you're involved in graffiti, you know, and some of the things that we even see out here on the buildings, it ties more to your name. You know, sometimes people use characters and things like that, but there's a whole different ideology behind graffiti, whether you're doing throw ups, bombers, you know, doing just a tag, like there's different verbiage, but people have this stigma built around the fact that you used the can, they saw you hit the little spray button, and they're like, oh no, you putting this up on a wall, they assume that you didn't get permission. If I'm doing this in broad daylight, I'm pretty sure, you know what I'm saying?
Putting it on YouTube.
It's a mural fest. The idea was to allow artists to, you know, come and use these different types of tools to create, you know, conscious, allowed, prohibit, you know, good art. Graffiti is definitely like a different era. I wouldn't call myself a graffiti artist personally, but I do appreciate, like, as an artist, just their creative process. So we utilize the cans and the concepts.
Just a different medium, that's all.
Yeah.
I'm gonna circle back to the studio show. So how is preparing for that, like, what does that all involve?
So first, why are we calling it the studio show, right? And it's because like April 1st, when I joined my current studio, Phoenix Jacks, I realized, well, you know, as this now established artist, I'm paying for, you know, a room and paying into this business, right? I realized that I also now have like a responsibility to, well, sell paintings and, you know, make this more of a business and profitable. So coming about this first showing was interesting because it was in an organic way. I really was looking to create a body of work that I enjoyed for a personal reason. I enjoyed the size, I enjoyed the canvas, practicing my process. And once I realized, hey, I've made 7 or 8 of these pieces kind of repetitively, I challenged myself. I had this last $100 and I was like, how can I make this money work for me?
Yeah.
Right? So I went into my local art store and said, hey, I'm going to spend the money that I have and get the best amount of materials that I can.
Right.
And I spent, you know, the last month and a half now, almost 2 months building this collection, you know, slowly doing the same process, keeping things in unison. And I feel like over time, I've been able to then start to fill in gaps. How do you get the people there? What do you want them to feel like? What kind of music do you want them to hear? Do you want music? Right? And as I started to ask myself these harder questions to create like a better overarching experience, a show developed.
Right. So you use social media a lot to like document and just share your pieces and your process. How do you leverage it to find your audience?
I would say that it is strictly my tool of sharing. So when I use social media right now, I like to think about it like, what information am I comfortable with giving the people? I don't necessarily have an intention about who it reaches or how many people it reaches. I won't say I don't pay attention to it because it's my personal doesn't. My art form doesn't pay attention to the reaction. However, my business side does.
Yeah.
So I use social media to leverage, well, just the fact that it's available, you know. I have this message and I tailor myself and the things that I want to say to people to make it comprehensible, but I'm authentically myself on there. So I commit to the consistency at least.
Right.
And I think that that's what people struggle with the most. Not so much of, hey, they know that they want to share a piece of themselves with the world, but you don't know what piece and you don't know how often, right? And over the last 3 years of me being an artist, I have done a lot of trial and error.
So how do you manage that time with the posting or, you know, coming up when you want to schedule something versus the time you are actually creating? Because I know it can kind of get blurred, like they cross each other a lot. You having to record your process and then edit it and then post it and then like, oh, I got to go back to this project. Also got to record it too, just so I have like that same cycle. So how do you manage that? 'Cause it is for me.
Yeah.
I'll say that it is for me. It'd be kicking my butt.
Yeah, I would double down and kick mine too. Truthfully, I feel in these last couple months, I've gotten a better rhythm. Outside of my artistry, I do a lot of videography. I do a lot of documentation. I help members of my community use social media as a tool, right? Yeah. So I think that helps me a lot because I'm always editing for someone else. So sometimes I really just say, hey, bro, if you can edit for other people, you have to edit for yourself, right? I still found it challenging to balance with the art, but I ask myself the important questions like, can I throw the tripod up and record what I'm about to do because I'm certain of what I'm about to do? Or do I feel like I need to leave this off camera and do some of my better work alone?
Yeah.
And I think that the idea is that you continue to ask yourself that question. I feel like I do my best work off camera.
Same. But it's like that pressure, that silent pressure. You be like,
yeah.
I need to make sure whatever I do is good. And what is good, I don't know. But we want it good for the gram, so we get approval.
Yeah,
like that.
It's and also too, because you see people post things that are like, hey, look at how I did this brush stroke, and because of that, you know, how they present it, how they package it, how it's comprehensible. I think of all of those things, and I try to stay away from what am I showing them. What's my story here? You know, do I want to tell them, hey, come check out my event? Do I want to show them, hey, check out my new pattern? Do you want to teach them something? Like asking yourself those types of questions, I feel like has made the recording process sometimes easier. I won't say that every single time it's like that, but it has helped me with my consistency overall.
Right.
So.
I definitely had asked myself, like, why am I recording myself? And I found that it's easier for me to do it if I say it's a documentation, like I'm documenting myself, versus I'm recording this to show on Instagram. Because for one, you might not get nothing out of the post that you post. Like the only thing you might get is just a like, and that's it. Not money and not none of that. But you'll get more value from documenting your stuff, and then years from later, you're able to look back on yourself and be like, oh, I actually accomplished this, and I did this at that time.
I have also adapted that type of mentality, especially this last 6 months to a year. I've been thinking about it, like as I started to take the business side just as serious as the art, I think about it like documentation for sure, because now I've accepted that I want to have a 50, 60, 70, for as long as I'm allowed to breathe, I will create. Yeah. So therefore, when I committed to that responsibility, because it's not just saying, hey, I would like to be able to do this. No, I wake up every day and I regimentally create. Now, that doesn't mean it looks like painting every day. That doesn't mean, you know, I record every day, but I do something to progress my career daily. Right. And when I committed to that action, it became a lot easier to feel like, you know what, this is documentation.
So with social media, I just love this topic because it can go so many places, but I also think it's very relevant because a lot of artists, creatives, whoever you are, you can't really escape it. For creatives, we try to use it to either grow a following or just, like we said, document. But a lot of the times it's to grow a following so we can, you know, make a living off of it. Is it sometimes challenging to stay true to yourself, but also try to stay relevant on socials? And when I say relevant, like they always see you on their timeline and you're like, oh, I love him, or like just trying to stay in the light, in the spotlight of people's mind.
You know, the balance of being on social media, like I don't really care for social media. Like I think that I only look at it as a tool. So I used to struggle a lot with scrolling through, and I'm one of the type of people who can look at something and then tell you, you know, the steps that I would think in reverse to be able to create things. Yeah. So I can sit there and watch a video and you know, dissect it and say, okay, this is how you would make that. Let's make this, you know. So when I was in that realm, you see reaction, you see validation, you see all these things pop up, and you're like, okay, I'm going to stay consistent to that. But I noticed, especially in the last year or so, that people get kind of trapped into now the thing that has reacted to the people, to the source. I don't look to, you know, that's not my vibe. Then that's not what,
like seeking approval.
I would say that I try to stay away from that conversation. I strictly go on social media these days to either allow myself time to look and seek knowledge, ideas sometimes, right? But the way that I have a rule I have given myself is once I see something that I enjoy or that I want to recreate, I get off. It's harder than, you know, to some than others, but for me, I go on there, I might watch some people's stories, I might try and support, you know, some of my locals, things of that nature. If I'm not doing that, I go on, I don't scroll for necessary like enjoyment and stuff of that nature, because I'm like, I use this strictly to give you guys a piece. So as far as like, how do I stay authentic to myself and consistent or relevant is the relevancy is because I'm authentic to myself and I stay there, you know?
Yeah.
So I have realized, do you need to post every day? No, you need to post every time that you feel you want to share. That's it. That might look like every day. Right now in my current cycle, that is every day, because I'm leading up to a show.
Yeah.
I'm leading up to, you know, something of magnitude. So I'm like, dude, I got a checklist. I'm working on things all day, every day these last, you know, couple of weeks. But when I finish this show, I will post when I have something next to share. And I think that I have also seen a better analytic that way as well, because now you're not posting a bunch of stuff that isn't really important. However, in the authentic moment, I ask myself, do I feel like recording me dancing and getting jig when I'm trying to paint?
Because that's just ruining the moment that
And sometimes it is, but in that moment I found myself, I was cool with it.
Yeah.
I threw the camera up because I couldn't find the tripod. I looked around, I don't move. I'm like, you know what, forget it. I put the phone up, just boom, hit the record. I did a little dancey dance, but that's because I was still listening to the song. It was authentic. I left it. Will I post that right away? No. I just be like, okay, I recorded it. I give myself that opportunity. And then later on, I give myself the choice.
Yeah.
Do you want to let that go? Do you want to just post it on your story? And it's a constant battle between art and business and being mindful of them both.
Yeah.
So
You said it's a balance of art and business. Do you think those two can sometimes make it less enjoyable to create? Because when we're focused on the business aspect, of course, we're artists and we want to make money from it. But sometimes, like, in the cycle of you just need to do this and that, like, it's not as freeing. It feels more like a task or a job versus something you just choose to do because you just felt like doing it. So
I actually had a conversation with a friend and a mentor this morning about this exact topic. And when I got on the phone with him, I was having a moment of truth to him saying, hey, you know what? I would love to hire a social media manager and I would love to never touch this app again and just let it ride. And he checked me, and I'll answer your question with that. And I agreed, and it set me back a course, right? Business and art, if you choose this keyword, responsibility, then they have to go together, right? If you want to just paint and you don't want the pressures from society and all of this stuff, girl, paint at home and don't talk about it. The problem is that more often than not, us artists at the crib, we be painting, we know we're good. And then we go online and we see things and we're like, man, no offense to that guy, but what makes him special? So then we get this inclination that, like, well, since they're doing it and they're receiving notoriety, 50K followers, money, brand endorsing deals, it changed our perspective. I believe art was given to us artists as a gift for us to enjoy. Responsibility. If you choose to accept that and say, you know what, I'm stepping into a career, I'm stepping into a way to make this profitable and sustainable. Because the truth is that no artist who's drawing at home and closing that book and not showing the sketchbook tour is growing in the instance of, like, sustainability.
You literally just reminded me of a quote I put on my phone. It was talking about how if we know we're good at something, you know, when your mom will be like, you're so good at this, or whoever, they'd be like, you should make it into a career, like, because you enjoy it. So the thing that we love, which can be art, we sometimes try to make that into the career, but then that starts to diminish the love that we have for it. So, like, what was the point of even doing that in the first place if it's gone? About your documentations, how do you go about that? Like, recording your process or just showing it, like showcasing it? How do you do that?
I utilize the tools around me. I know it gets tiring to hear this, but it's like, if you have a phone, you use your phone. if you have the camera, you can choose, you know, if you want to use that or whatever, right? When it comes down to documenting, I ask myself, how do I stay in flow? Because at the end of the day, I'm trying to capture that, and it can be kind of difficult. I'm lucky enough to have a partner who is able to help me more often than not record some of my documentation when I'm specifically, you know, in a grand flow, like when I'm really in it. But truth, I do the best I can. Yeah. Like, you can't record everything. You can't package your life into this box and try to give it to people. This is just not how, I don't, it doesn't align with me anyway. Yeah. You know, so back to that authentic self from before, right? Like, you gotta see what is in your wavelength. So for me, sometimes it's just putting up the iPhone, and I don't care about, is the back camera better than the front? You know, like, I'm just, dude, the best thing that I could do right now is prop it up against the windowsill and hit record. Right. And 9 times out of 10, that is enough. Yeah. If you're putting out a message that you believe in and things like that. But once you start to set these parameters where it's like, yeah, but I saw how someone else reacted, or I saw someone. Yeah. You don't make art like that, do you? And self-doubt? Because I know people who have like self-doubt aren't making, you know, this great art of magnitude. That's not how you do it. Like, you do it out of confidence. Yeah. You do it out of certainty of self. So when it comes to documenting my process, I practice my speeches off camera, on camera, all of that. Right? I could give you my intro at any given moment. I could tell you my spiel about who I am at any given moment because I have practiced saying that. Yeah. Not even just to myself, but to others. There's like real life implications that we could have to make documenting easier. Practicing this in this setting. By me even saying it to you, I'm like, okay, next time I go and sit down in front of this little box and hit record, I'm like, man, I told Trinity, and you have more magnitude to me than people through the phone. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sitting here and I'm feeling your vibrational energy, and I'm practicing saying things that stand on my self-confidence. Right. Man, I'm not scared of myself on the phone.
It's because we have the options to do it over and over again. When you're having an actual interaction face to face, it's just a one-time thing. You just gotta.
And you better get it right, exactly. You know, or not get it right, but you know, just
go for it. It doesn't have to be perfect.
And you better be willing to stand on what you say. Right. A lot of people are not thinking before they speak, or maybe they get stuck only in the ruminating thoughts or overthinking, overanalyzing. I don't know. I feel I've had a lot of practice personally. Military experience changed how I create my art. I spent a couple of years in the military, and while doing that, I was taught how to critically think to this regiment. And I take those skills to this day, and I still apply them to my real life.
I don't want to go off topic, but I do want to ask, how did you get into art? Because you were, like you just said, you're in the military. Was that before or after you were in the military? I
started to create art about 3 years ago. I joined the military right out of high school. When I was in high school and middle school and all of that, I didn't really, I wouldn't consider myself an artist. I wasn't very creative. I mean, sure, I took an art class in 7th grade, loved it, cool. You know, I did a couple of doodles here and there. People would, you know, say, hey, you're really good, talented. But I joined the military, and I learned that there was a lot of things that I don't want to do in this world. And when I got out of doing that, I was destined. I told myself, like, if I am not going to do things that I don't want to do, which did bring me money and all of this stuff, right? I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to find something I love to do. For me, it actually came from taking pictures, being a photographer. So my artist career was a little different than most people. I didn't do it at a young age. And when I did start to do it, I actually started in photography. I felt like I was trying to capture the images I saw in my mind. So I spent my first 1.5 years of my 3 years of being an artist being a photographer. I spent an entire year in LA looking to build in the photography realm. And in that, I realized that art and business conversation. And I was like, well, I'm really digging into the art, but I didn't know how to be an entrepreneur. I didn't know how to manage myself. And then being in a city like LA, I thought it would just kind of come because, I mean, this is a grandiose city and I would hope that it would just teach me things. Yeah. And in turn, really what it taught me was you got to practice being yourself. So I got a job because I was like, hey, this photography stuff is not paying the bills how I thought. And at that job, I was working at a gym and I was sketching while standing because I had to work for 8 hours. I didn't know what to do. I'm in LA, I'm practicing tags. I see graffiti everywhere. I'm writing my name. I'm trying to create concepts of what my name could be, stuff of that nature. And I had a member of the gym come by and say, hey, you should put it in a sketchbook and keep it for yourself. Yeah. See that growth. Yeah. And that was a moment that really changed how I went from only taking pictures to now drawing the things that I couldn't even take pictures of.
How has the different mediums, because again, I went on your Instagram page.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
All the way down to the bottom.
Yeah.
And I saw the photography. I also saw the videography and I keep saying graphic design because that's stuck in my head, but like Photoshop images. Mm-hmm. How did it create what you do today?
So for a lot of people who don't know, like you said, graphic design, I started collaging. That's what I called it. Mm-hmm. Before I could even take a picture and actually own a camera, utilizing photos from a magazine to create the images I wanted. So that was the very first instance of me being an artist. Straight out of the military, the only thing that I had was a collection of National Geographics. I loved to go thrifting. So this was all around the COVID time period. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people weren't allowed outside, things of that nature. So I spent a lot of time using what I had, the books. And I was kind of, ripping things out. I didn't even know I could draw at that point. I was just kind of like, hey, I can cut this out and I can tape these together and I could make my art. So the collages it was a way to meditate. Yeah. I enjoyed being able to use the X-Acto knife, being precise, cutting out images that popped out to me.
Wait, so these were photos that you did it on? Okay. And you uploaded it.
Yeah. Okay. I would scan them. I did do a lot of Photoshop stuff, but that came many months later because I started with the books, but then I learned about Photoshop. Mm-hmm. And when I learned about that, I was like, hey, I don't even have to have the books. I can use Google Images. Yeah. And I can cut out in Photoshop and put together things like that. So that's when I started to get a little more tech savvy. And utilizing Photoshop got me into Adobe Lightroom. And when I used Lightroom, I was able to start changing the colors of things. And then I was like, man, I'm finding all of these images. I would love to start, I was taking stuff on my phone, but I was like, I would love to start taking images and then doing these collages. Yeah. So I got a film camera, walked around outside, started taking pictures, learning on YouTube how to use it. And that slowly allowed me to, expand my artist career. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I think the colors or how I mix things together, the layering techniques that I use, I learned from collaging, from being able to understand that if you put one piece of paper down and another one slightly on top and you kind of cross them over, it would make something. And that's what I use here. How I incorporate the spray to oil pastels to acrylic. It's taken me years, obviously, to learn how to cross weave all of them. Mm-hmm. But I mean, this is a photo quite literally of my friend. And then I took the photo, I recreated, an image that I liked and, just using all those different tools. So my art it's this full mix of collaging, photos, layers. And now I just learn you can use different mediums. So the oil and, experimenting.
Yeah. Experimenting I feel like that's really important because I've always been the person that liked to get my hands on anything. Like I would say before I started painting, I did illustrations, like fashion design illustrations that morphed into sewing, which morphed into, I guess, drawing more into just being more crafty. I started getting into painting in the 10th grade. And then I just kept there and, dabbled in photography, graphic design, all of that. But I feel like having all of those skill sets, they really do help to, of course, paint a bigger picture, but you're just able to be different, for one, because knowing how to use all of these different tools and using the different aspects and then turning it into something new, not a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And then for two, like, it makes you more versatile. Like, you can do literally whatever. You're not stuck to one medium.
Honestly, it's how I ended up coming up with my name. Like, literally, MetamorphVic was me being like, wow, I am always evolving. I started, like you said, we're multifaceted artists. You start in one medium, and that teaches you skills that allows you to create in free flow and be innovative. And as you never forget that skill. Yeah. So even though, I don't collage that much anymore, I still use those same techniques even in the artwork that I'm doing or how I layer, so yeah, I would agree that all of those skills, they compound. And I think that that's why I always encourage other artists to, to explore in your current experiment. If right now your phase is saying, hey, I enjoy painting, it gets me this, it gets me that, keep at it and don't let external validation force you into a box. Because what I realize is these people on TikTok and all of this stuff is like, something goes viral. Yeah. And now that becomes your style. Yeah. Because people enjoy it and you're like, oh, well, since they enjoy it, I did enjoy it in that moment, I'll stay there. I think that's where I had to draw a thick line. I was like, no, sir, because I need to continue to allow myself to be like, I might not be painting more than 5 years. And maybe I'll start sculpting a face and I'll start making the bust, and you'll be like, whoa, you're an insane sculptor. And maybe that's the thing that I try to pay attention to my method. And if I really enjoy that, like I did with this series, I'll make more of it. Yeah. In my last interview, I spoke with Desi about she talked about protecting the practice and basically the ideas. How would you say you do that for your own process? Protecting your process from the outside noise, from people saying, oh, I love this, and then, just trying to stay true to what you want to do, regardless of validation, any of that. I pay attention to, and I love that you bring up Desi because she actually helped me unlock a key to this as well. But I learned the thing that I enjoyed the most. And that for me was a mixture of chaos while still being able to maintain some sort of like formality. So I learned that for myself, like asking myself, like, what do I actually enjoy, from the collaging, from the photos. Like, a lot of my style was showing its own, I guess it just showed itself, right? And since then, how I protect it is just by taking it serious and feeding it. All of these works was me protecting it. Me saying, well, I love being a little chaotic and free, abstract even. And once I figured out that little turn of a knob, I'm very mindful of, and it's almost like there's a glass box over it. And I don't allow people to come in and say, hey, for example, things will be popular in society, Sinners. Hey, this new movie is out. Yeah. You should watch it because I think it would, influence you to do so-and-so. I'm very, very, very mindful of that. The Met Gala was yesterday. Black dandyism or dandyism as a whole was just the main topic. And I absolutely loved so many outfits and so many things, but I'm very mindful about digesting that because I know my art style. I know who I am and how I like to create, where my energy is at. So these days, I guess I bring up even like the Met Gala part because I'm like, although I'm influenced and I love it, I still draw the line because I know if I allow any influence to come in, even if it's good, then it might make my self-confidence and doubt could creep in.
Like second guessing.
Right. So it's like, oh, should I be painting this? Would this be more relevant? I guess it's kind of difficult for me to answer in the instance of like, how do I protect it? by just staying true to me.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it was like when you were talking about social media and not always giving it attention. Does that go into it?
Yeah.
That's what it sounds. Okay, so like you're intentional with what you give attention to.
Yes.
You don't just let anything
Yeah.
come in front of you. You're hearing. You don't let any random thing just, come by you.
Yeah. Even if it's popular, culture driven, right in my wheelhouse, all of the things. I don't care.
Yeah.
I can't. I have to be focused on, like, I had projects, I have series that I've already thought through, and I deserve to be able to give that to myself. So if I allow myself to be influenced by anything that's popping up in the world, stand for something or fall for anything.
Yeah. Has it ever influenced you in the past? The media?
Oh yeah. I would say in those collaging days, I remember, I can't remember the TikTok account now, but there was a specific account that I remember seeing and being like, wow, similar style, I related, things of that nature. And I would then just start trying to crank out the work to mimic and to keep up. In my photography, being in LA, seeing what was popular and trying to conform, and really what you end up doing is getting lost.
Yeah.
Then you get upset when opportunities don't come your way, but they go to others. It just feels more daunting. And I think the moment that I felt the light, I just stayed in that realm.
Yeah. So how would you say this is a topic of self-care, because a lot of your videos, they talk about like just taking care of your body, exercising, eating right, and everything like that. So what is the behind the scenes of your self-care?
When I was in the military till now, I learned how to take care of my body then because it was mandatory. When I transitioned out, I found myself feeling, those back pains, feeling those neck pains, feeling that tension in the wrist, right? So I started to ask myself, what's important to me? And it's art. Number one, boom, right there. Vic says, art is life. Art is going to be my career. Is going to be who I am. I am art, right? Well, I would put that number one, and then I would wake up every single day and I could get out of bed, and before I drank water, before I did anything, I could start painting. I would, especially early in my career, in these last 3 years, in that first year, I would get up and I would put art over everything. And I would feel my personal self crumble. And then my art would slowly start to move down. And if I said to myself that if art is number one, then there are certain things that have to come first in order to even sustain it. So to me, the goal is sustainability. So I'm like, well, in order for me to sustain a 50-year-long art career, what would I need to do to maintain my vessel, my mind, my spirituality? What do I need to do in order to really keep this thing going, if that's really the goal? My body will be in shape. My body will, so I'm mindful of the things that I eat, how I work out. So what it looks like for me is I stretch, I take breaks. I have a timer set on my phone, literally 6 timers a day, every day. When the alarm goes off, I'm like, well, you have options, right?
Gotta do that mental break, gotta get away.
Yeah, you gotta force it too, because the art can be consuming. And I try to stay in my routine that does me justice. So I run. I'm a vegetarian personally. I don't really, contribute that to anything specific, but I would say that is me being mindful of my health. So there's just certain things for me that I set as mandatory. It's mandatory.
Yeah.
You have to work out. You have to stretch. You have to eat properly or fuel your body. I'm not even saying what you eat or being mindful of that, but making sure you're eating.
Yeah.
Making sure you're hydrating, because otherwise your body crumbles, and then how do you paint?
Yeah. This reminds me of the most famous artists in their stories. Like I'll take Basquiat, right? Okay. Yeah. Basquiat. I did I watched a YouTube video and it was talking about how the struggle that he went through, or the struggle that they said he went through, kind of aided into him becoming the artist that he is today, like that aided in his popularity. The fact that he lived in the basements and, you know, painted on the floors and didn't really do much to take care of himself in the ways of like health wise. I feel like that stigma, I guess, of being an artist, just doing art first and not caring about anything else, like we make that a big thing. Do you agree with that? I'm trying to make sure that makes sense.
I relate to Basquiat,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm like, or Basquiat, I'm like, I relate. I'm like, yeah,
I'm sorry.
real. I just, you know, on his king energy, or just any artist as a whole, like, art's very important, but it can't be everything. That's one of the hardest realizations to have as an artist. I gotta walk outside. I gotta touch the grass. I gotta eat. I gotta pay attention to my family. I gotta care about others. I gotta go walk out on the beach. I gotta go get inspired.
Yeah.
How do you create if you're not healthy and living on that vibrational energy? You want, and this is different for everyone because we all have our different styles and our different mentalities, right? Me personally, I prefer positivity. When I create, I'm painting energy. So for everyone to each their own, but me personally, I'm just like, I have to maintain a certain regiment and stuff to be able to even do the thing that I want to do. So it's just no whole bar.
So how do you know when you need a reset? Is there like a certain signal or things that you do that you know you need to take a step back from?
Yeah. I'm even in that phase right now, right? I've been working for probably 2 or 3 months since the beginning of this year pretty strongly, but this last like 6 weeks has been very intense. If I could try to answer it, I'm like, how did I know I needed a break? You tired, you know? You know what I'm saying? Like,
101.
yeah, but like, I don't know, like, I just think too that you have to be mindful. Like, again, I'm all about intention. So it's like, well, the work that I make is energy based. So I feel like I'm coming up to the climax, right? I'm putting on the show, a lot of magnitude, a lot of energy. So I already have a scheduled rest break after this. Am I resting and doing absolutely nothing? No, I'm gonna go paint a garbage truck. Like, I have 3 murals to do.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily think I was gonna need the break or not, but if you're not listening to your body in the first place, how would you know it needs rest? Like, if you're not listening to it when it's time to create, you don't even know that you need rest.
I'll say if you were maybe overwhelmed on the process or you just haven't felt like creating in a little bit, how would you get back into the flow of creating?
I kind of got like a checklist. Music. Like, let's say I needed to get into the flow of painting. If I can channel the energy, conversation. I'm a very, I'm a high vibrational being, and the work that I make mimics that energy. So speaking to you, speaking to individuals who bring me that frequency, asking someone about their creative process, because none of those things ever go away from me. You know, although I could be tired or anything like that, like if I felt or found myself like I needed to get out of a rut or something like I don't really feel like I enter those, but even like this rest cycle that I'm coming into, I have like tentative plans already for months ahead for June and July. So it's like, although I have a scheduled break, I also have scheduled work. So let's say at the end of May, I'm done with my rest. I'm going into June. How do I get back into my flow in June? I do the things that I have set as a pattern for myself. How I walk into the office, the songs I play, things like that.
And I want to talk more about how having someone with you, like your wife, Sam, amazing. How has that helped you with your process?
It is a foundational key to allowing me to be as great as I am right now. Sam, a partner, my partner specifically, has allowed me to maintain stability in other conversations, right? Eating, working out, you know, just doing those self-care things. She is my accountability partner. So I would say that at least for me personally, the reason why I get to be as great as I get to be is because I do have someone who helps me keep my foundation solid. She knows things about me and instances that she's just able to be in tune and to know that, you know, we're a team. So it's like, if I'm heavily going to be painting right after this next show, right? Doing things like prep work for me, being able to just challenge me or keep me stern has been able to transform who I am as an artist. So I don't think that it necessarily needs to be a partner that you are bound to. I am blessed enough that that just so happens to be. However, I think that community could really supplement that for a lot of people. But we typically isolate ourselves as artists. We're working at home, you know, so there's not a lot of people who have to see what we're doing. And I think that sometimes can be a little detrimental to some people. Like, I go out of my way, especially now being in the studio, to ask others to come in, you know, and I build community with other artists, people like you, being able to be like, hey, how can I pour into your cup and you into mine? I would say community or having a teammate allows you to have someone to catch you when you're slipping. My mentor this morning, called him, told him how I was feeling. I was being honest. He checked me, right? And if you have good values in mind and you keep people around you who also emulate those same values, you will be a lot stronger as you proceed in your career, because those people won't allow you to fail. I surround myself only by kings and queens, point blank, because I view myself as a king. You see what I'm saying? It's like they tell you all the time, show me your friends and I'll show you your future or whatever. You know, that's a straight fact. It's like, yo, and people will be like, well, how do I find people like me? Listen, be organic and in the moment. When someone says or doesn't jive with what you are, you don't gotta tell them, but just put that off. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like a lot of people, it goes back to the self-care a little bit. Like, they're not authentic to themselves. They don't know what values they even have or what values even are, you know? So for me, it's intentionality, kindness, love, peace, right? I care about your moral code, how you're moving, who you move with, and how you treat people. I watch. And because of that, I feel like it's easier to help pick the right members into the community that help feed me.
What would you say to people that are hesitant to go out and meet people that are outside of their community?
You know, you have to have comfortability for yourself. So sometimes you got to learn how to be uncomfortable and stuff like that. And I would definitely agree, right? But let's talk about like overstimulation and stuff, right? Like, some people really can't do that. If you're at that point and you're ready to push through, you know, there are small group instances. I love, like, Jared, for example, shout out to him. He does a pull-up where he has people come in and, you know, it's a small, tight-knit group. So I'm like, well, maybe I don't want to go, you know, to this big area and talk to a bunch of artists all at one time. Find the one. Allow them to bring you into small, minute instances where you feel comfortable. Build your stimulation, or your, how would you say it? Like, build your energy up, right? You ain't got to go out and pop out and do the mural fest and do all this. That might be too much, you know, and then you'll get that burnout instant. So it's like, sometimes we got to be okay with just taking one step and allowing it to build. You can't run a race, you know, and just get to the end of the finish line without taking step 1 through 100. Like, you have to take every single step.
Describe your art process in one word and why.
Chaotic.
Chaotic?
That's I'm a real quick, like, thinker. So that's probably the first word that comes to my mind. Like, how I feel. Chaotic because depending on the conversation you were having with someone, whether it's ADHD or just being hyperactive or being multifaceted, right? I think very fast. So my movements and my art, they symbolize that. It's very free flow, very energy based. So yeah, I could stick to chaotic.
You and Desi got the same type of
It's very
similarities.
close.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talk about it, and I love Desi because of her comprehension for her art process.
Yeah.
And she taught me something about my process where it's like being able to, she was one of the first people to make me realize the chaos or the energy, or right, it's in the hand movements, it's in how I can feel free. I don't like to feel too constrained. I made a choice. I ain't just go like this to go like that, you know? And if I did, then I'm probably going to circle back and make it look different now, you know?
So for the closing question, for every artist out there, what's the most important thing you think they need to hear?
You can't create without confidence. If you have self-doubt in your process, and I'll tell it right to you, if you have self-doubt in your process, you will always sit there and second guess emotion, or when you make that swoop, you'll be like, I'm not sure, you know? So yeah, I would tell every single artist, learn how to build your confidence in the thing you're doing. I know that sounds so ambiguous because it's like, okay, well, how do I become confident? Practice. Be mindful of the process that you're choosing. When I painted this, I could write it out in a 10-step format, how I got here. And then I mimicked it 24 times over to make sure that I knew it. And in every single painting, not one of them is the same. This series taught me something, you know? Yeah. And it's, if you can be committed to your process and learn to build confidence in it, now I know for a fact that no matter what face I get or whatever, I could make it look and resemble this type of series because I practiced it over and over. I'm being mindful of my strokes. I'm thinking to myself, like, you know, do you like how you're feeling with this? You stay consistent to yourself and you stay consistent to your confidence, because at the end of the day, if in 50 years I stay doing what I love, I stay moving with the passion, I stay having positive vibrations, it's undeniable that I'm going to be a legend. I know it, and I believe that. I say it to myself, I reiterate it, I put it into my work, I put it into how I feel, I speak it into others, because you can't just say, I'm going to be up here and you don't give to nobody. That's not how it works. You have to give to receive, point blank. And the more, and it's not, people don't realize that it's not that you give this and you receive instantly the same thing back. You give everything that you have and you will receive abundantly, way more than what you put in every single time. And I hold on to that because I'm like, and even in saying it to you, I grow confidence because I'm saying it again. This is the millionth time I've told somebody, if I move like this, I will receive. If I give, I will receive. If I move in my confidence, I'll stand 10 toes. So I know this interview will be legendary from this moment moving forward. You know why? Because I'm committed in my confidence. Truthfully, I'm just grateful that you'll even highlight me, because it'll be that one extra moment in my career of this long 50, 60 long year career, you know? So I appreciate you.
Yeah, of course. You've been on my radar for like a while. I'm not gonna lie to you. So I'm happy I got the chance to do that, and more to come. So
yes.
So
you hear that? I just want to leave it with that. You see how the last thing she said was more to come.
More to come.
That more. Be more. There is more that we can do every single day. You just got to challenge yourself. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, he took it off already. There we go.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for tuning in and not just supporting this channel, but also the artists and the stories that I'm so honored to share with you. Stay connected, stay inspired, and come along with me as I continue to explore my creative journey. Maybe this is the start to yours. I'll see you in the next one.